moving to someone who is stepping up into a leadership position, moving away from being a technical person contributing to their own personal tasks to start contributing to a team.
Yes. So for that one, contributing to it, well, leading a team, right? So this is the beginning of leadership, and it's a real mindset shift. And there's nothing to say that you can't still be an individual contributor when you're leading other people. Leading people takes a lot of time, but there's still room for making individual contributions. But that's not why you're there. You're there to be a multiplier. So if we were happy to take 5 people and say, well, these 5 people's individual contributions, whatever they happen to be doing, that's enough. That's all we really need. Then that's okay. The world would work that way, but that's not the way the world works. And making software, making technology is really hard and it's very competitive. And the only way that you can get enough grunt into it is to make that, the sum of the parts greater than the parts themselves, or the some of the, you know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
The correct wording. But that's what a leader's job is. It's to take, let's say you're a very, sort of starting with the very first leadership position, some kind of team lead sort of position, and you've got 3 people or 5 people who you're now responsible for. Those people, you're not expected to produce 3 individual people's work. You're expected to produce some multiple of that. So it's got to actually be your job is to empower them and make them better than they could be if they were just by themselves. And to be able to do that, you've got to get satisfaction from their output, not from your output. It's from the team's output. So you've actually got to get your head into a place where you can sit back and be extremely pleased as some other people commend how amazing these people's work is, without giving you any credit or acknowledgement for your role in that, right? Because if you do it right, that's how it should look. So if you do it right, it should be all about what the team produce and not you. And a big part of that is what's often referred to as making yourself redundant. So, that, again, it's a little bit of a cliche, but people say, look, your job as a leader is to make yourself redundant. Well, that's absolutely true. That really is your job as a leader. And it's not to say you make yourself redundant so that you can just leave. It's you make yourself redundant so that you can create the space for you to be an even better leader. And so that might be to lead bigger teams, it might be to lead leaders, it might be to be able to make a bigger individual contribution. But whatever it is, what you're trying to do is to enable this group of people to do all the things that perhaps you used to do yourself, so that you effectively sit there twiddling your thumbs thinking, wow, so now I have some room to do something else. What shall I do next? And if you're in a position where you're not able to do that, then there's something wrong. Maybe there's not enough people, or maybe you're just not thinking about it right. But really what you're wanting to do is to make yourself redundant. And so that work of the team is the most important thing. And it's really easy to forget that a big part of us working together as humans is trusting and knowing each other. And so it's not enough to know how those individuals perform technically, their skills, their knowledge, all that sort of thing. You actually have to know them as real people. And so it's worth taking the time to know them and to help them know each other as actual people. Like what makes them tick? Where do they come from? What's their background? What are their families like? What do they do at home? It's that really personal level of and a genuine interest in what they do. I think that's one of the things that took me a really long time to realize how important that was and what kind of role that
do you remember the time when you realized that?
Yes, I do, because I volunteered for a 360 degree review program. Yes, and the company I was working for didn't have one, but it was when I was doing some business studies, and there happened to be a pilot program, and I volunteered for it. And so I sent out I gave a list of email addresses for the reviewers to send the questionnaires to. And when I read through, there was lots of nice stuff in there and everything. But one of the things that I was really surprised about was that the answer to the question, does my manager take an interest in me, was quite low compared to everything else. And I thought, oh, that can't be right. And then I thought about it some more, and then I thought about it a little bit more, and then I thought, no, actually, that is completely right. I'm not taking an interest in people as people. I'm only taking an interest in their skills and, you know, their abilities in terms of being developers. I'm not really taking an interest in who they are as people. And I worried that maybe I don't actually like people that much. Maybe this is me. And then I realized that that wasn't true either. It's just one of those. I really do like people, and I'm really interested in what makes people tick. But it's something that I need to be conscious of. It's something I actually have to do, and it becomes a habit, right? You start practicing taking an interest in people, and before you know it, it's just part of what you do. And when you talk to people, you do talk about them and who they are. But it's not just a habit, and it's not a nice to have. It's a necessary skill. It's actually a really important thing to do with teams and with other people. And it's the same with peers. It's the same with managers. If you don't know them, then you will misinterpret what they mean when they are telling you things. So, you know, context is so important to understanding what people are saying or doing. And when someone takes an action and you're missing context, you may completely miss why they did it. And it will be very hard for you to understand why they did it unless you really understand the sort of motivations and drivers for them. And that's just getting to know them as a person.